Okay. Uh, okay. So women in the gym are complaining sometimes on social media about getting too much attention.
I would say getting the wrong kind of attention. I don't probably.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna turn my camera on, and one out of what like sometimes that crashes my Discord. So really quick, I'm gonna. Yep.
Low.
Hello. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. Sometimes this happens. I don't know why. I need to fucking figure it out. Okay, there we go.
All right.
So I wrote a bunch of notes. So um, something you I think you missed a lot of points because I think that every
Okay.
criticism of women sort of comes with a secret criticism of men, and every criticism of men comes with like a secret criticism of women. And I think if you want to talk about the dynamic, you should try to encompass both sides more.
All right.
So first of all, I think that if we make men afraid to flirt in gyms and stuff,
Yep.
what's going to happen for like 3 years from now is we're going to see these videos online in the exact opposite direction. They're going to be women, like a lot of women making these TikTok videos and stuff saying that it's so sexy when men will flirt with you in the gym.
I agree.
And it's just like pushing men back and forth. And like, there's never,
Correct.
men are never going to be in the correct social position. They're always just going to get pushed around if that's the way things
Correct.
go.
No, so I mean what you're saying is happening right now. So right now, I implore anybody actually try this. Lignum, thank you for the sub. I implore anybody ask women around you, um, if how like often they get approached by men, and then ask them if they like it when men approach them. And most of the time, they'll say, "Very rarely do young men approach me," and yeah, I find it quite attractive when they approach me. And it's
Yeah.
because it's there's just so little men doing it now. Like I said, every one of the really hot men I know do not approach women. I have no idea why, but none of them do. Right? Men are not approaching women anymore. Right? So now, if you do, you're a step above. Not only where you do you have the confidence to approach a woman, and that's just attractive, independent of itself, right? But also, nobody else is doing it.
Well, I have, so you were saying that these videos and stuff are teaching young men not to approach women, but I think there's another side to that, and something the other guy just that was on earlier mentioned that you said you hadn't experienced is something I had experienced, is approaching women and getting shut down in a really like cruel way.
Yep.
What I was what I was saying a second ago, the thing that I think you're missing is it's not just teaching young men not to approach women; it's teaching young women to see young men as unacceptable for doing so. So
Sure, I
yes,
agree with
so
that.
that causes young men to actually. So you could say this is just a social media thing, but this teaches young women the lesson that makes it not just a social media thing. It makes it spread into in daily life. And it's most interactions aren't going to be like that, but it causes that to be once in a while the case, especially very young people.
Yeah, no, I agree. It normalizes the idea that like amongst young women that this shit is unacceptable. You shouldn't accept it and whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
I
Um, and it's just one of my I wrote a fucking shit ton of notes here. Um,
take
putting
your time.
putting stuff putting so like I could jump around, but I want to kind of go in order because it makes sense more sense. But not putting up with that kind of thing and having the conversations that you're having now kind of can brand you as like an incel or a black pillar,
Correct.
right? But really, this shouldn't be unhealthy. I don't understand. I guess there's not really much to say about that, but
Well, I think it's primarily because of what we talked about earlier, where Andrew Tate is going to be kind of the opposite. So if we
mm,
assume, the TikToks or whatever of what the that we just watched, where there's guys looking at women, and then these women are going like, oh, that's crazy. Really, the only place that I see these being called out consistently is like red pill manosphere places where I would hope men would not go to. and
Hmm.
and so uh it's just that if you don't accept that, I'm just going to be honest, online, the online idea that approaching women at all is harassment. If you don't accept that narrative, it feels like the only people who agree with you that that is unacceptable are like red pill people, and then like no like lefties or liberal
Hmm.
people even talk about it at all. They just straight up just they it's not content. It's not really worth talking about. It's just like whatever.
Right. I got the
The only
solution for
the
you.
last go for it.
Oh, what are you going to say first?
I so the last one that I remember people calling them out on was like West Elm Caleb, and I remember like Hassan and a bunch of other people doing some coverage on it that was pretty good. I actually commended him on his coverage of that.
Of what? I'm not
West
familiar.
Elm West Elm Caleb was some dude who was literally a Giga Chad who had fucked like a new chick every night,
Hmm.
and all of the chicks got on TikTok, got mad, and canceled him, got him fired from his fucking job. And then like Hassan of a bunch of other people was like, "This is insane. You women are completely out of line for thinking that this is insane." And one of the women literally was like, "Yeah, I heard that this guy he was just fucking a bunch of these girls and like leaving them." And he's like, but I thought I could add this guy to my arsenal of men.
Hmm.
And so it's like she had a
Hmm.
roster, but he couldn't have a roster. And it was just a whole hypocritical mess and shit like that. A lot of streamers
Yeah.
called them out on their bullshit. They ended up, I think, making an apology video or whatever. But yeah, it was pretty crazy.
In general, like I would say that falls under the umbrella of just male sexuality being something to be like ostracized. But that's what I was. The thing that I'm going to bring out now is I think the solution rhetorically. So or not just rhetorically, like discourse wise. So we're talking about the how it sucks to be a man in this dynamic, and
Yep.
the because men have to take on all the risks. But I think that we have to accept the part that sucks for the women. They have to do all the vetting, and I
Yeah,
honestly.
that's what I was trying to get into on the Tinder thing is that the vast majority
Mhm.
of the prospects that women have are very difficult to be able to sift through. I think there's better ways to sift through them than the way that both men and women use Tinder. I think just going after the hottest person is probably one of the worst things that you could possibly do. But
Yeah.
that's all anybody does on Tinder is they go after the hottest person that will respond to them. I think you cannot do that on dating apps and then think, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know why I'm not successful in dating. It's because you're not even trying. You're essentially just trying to have a, you're trying to like shoot for the stars. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, no, I think the vetting process is pretty.
Awful.
Or are you talking about the social vetting process
The social
of
vetting
like,
process. So this woman at the gym, like I can actually empathize with her. Like I think that she is. I don't think she's crazy. I think that she needs to. I don't agree with what she's saying, but I don't think she's crazy. Because maybe she's right. Maybe she's just doing it for fucking views.
yep,
But I'm sure there
could
are
be.
women like so. This was retweeted by Melina.
Hmm.
And she signal boosted this, and she could relate to this as a woman that goes to the gym, and I can understand because you go to the gym, you're an attractive woman, and you get a lot of attention from men, and they shoot their
Hmm.
shot and they take the L, and maybe a lot of them, even maybe all of them do it gracefully and like take the L
Hmm.
gracefully, and they try to be nice and they take the L, but that also kind of sucks. Like the fact that that it sucks for all of them to have to take that risk and take the L, but also sucks to have to do all that vetting all the time for like when you don't want to be. And so there's a couple solutions to this. The dynamic, I don't think it's great. I find it unacceptable that we have this social role in dating where men are taking the risks and women are doing the vetting. So there's two solutions. One, that I don't really like, but I think that if you're going to have this kind of conversation as a woman, you have to acknowledge that this is a solution, is to just embrace the betting thing and not like you can't gaslight people and say that you're not supposed to be in that role when you are. And in making a video like the one we're talking about, you're actually kind of really playing into yourself as the vetting person. You're saying all these men suck. You're really doing the vetting like to an extreme extent in a way. But my preferred solution would be for men to become more selective and women to become more assertive, and then it's more balanced and egalitarian between both.
I
That'd be
mean
hard.
that would be an ideal, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's
yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah. It's not, but I mean, we can change it in our personal lives. But yeah, we can't. We can tell. Yeah, we can spread the mess. I think you can change some people. I don't. You can't change all society, but you can change the people around you. You know, you can advocate. You have 100 and whatever 90 viewers or something, and you could give them a little like you could try this. You might be if you might be lonely if you're a man and you try to be more selective, but maybe that will help the world. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in my experience, a lot of the lonely men are not able to be selective. That's the
Right.
problem.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would make you more lonely.
Oh, I see. I see. My bad.
Yeah, but like but like if more men accept that, then more women will, because it's wi- women's locus of power is in their objectification and their sexuality, and uh, that makes them in a lot of ways a second class citizen. Um,
I think I think that's kind of true. I think a lot of their women's power right now is their their ease of access to get something that is seen as like at least a little bit validating and in stuff that they late game view as not that way. So like I don't know. I just let me explain it because that was kind of ass.
yeah.
Um, it's in my experience talking to a lot of young women about their histories. I've interacted with women who have said that they had a lot of casual sex, and a lot of the reason why they did it, at least of what they told me, is because it was validating and they thought it was like empowering, and then later they figured out it was like a really shitty experience and not
Mm-hmm.
something that was very great. Right, they came
Mm-hmm.
to grips with that. So that kind of temporary thing that they can go through, like a kind of a almost like a phase of their life, trying something out, is something that's can stave off loneliness even for a night.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of an advantage I think women have. One,
Mm-hmm.
two, they have better friendships that just straight up leave them less lonely than men do. So like even on these bases, independent of what men have, right? Women are better equipped to handle loneliness than men are.
Yeah.
So like really when it gets down to it, women have more power in this market unless we want to start.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just not going to happen that women are going to start fucking the average dude at the rates that the average dude and the above average man want to fuck women. That's just never going to happen. Like it's not realistic.
I'm never gonna say never on that one.
Okay.
Everyone, I mean, call me a dreamer, but I've seen women that can do that, and I think that um, I
You think
think
they're
it's all
fucking the average dude?
I think it's all about empowering women. So I well, like I said, I think that their locus. So it's like a short term power boost. And some women really fucking play into this a lot. So some women will, like they'll position themselves to have the selection of rich men, and they'll pick the rich man that they want. But even in that, it's still a short term power,
Yeah.
because then they've now become a slave to a man who has control over their life, basically, right?
Sure.
So that in itself is also like kind of there's a horror to that. And I think if women are empowered, they can let go of that, because I think so women are unable to admit when they're like attracted to you, because if they did
Sure.
that, it would disenfranchise, or not, it would disempower them in the situation,
Sure.
because their power is in that dynamic and being the vetting party. And I think if we empower women in other ways, then we can have like incels like you and me, I guess. But like be more critical of women.
Wait, there's
And
no way you don't get shit, bruh. You
what do you,
dripped out my entire stream's been fucking simping, bro. There's no way you ain't get it.
what getting? Oh no, I mean just incel rhetorically.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, hey, don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you're not getting it. I mean, you've only been on
I'm not
Tinder
getting
for.
it.
I know you're not getting it, but you've only been Tinder on 5 days. Um, you're not getting it because you're just terrified. But like you will. There's no doubt in my mind.
I believe that I could. I
You
believe
will.
pretty much everyone can.
You
Not
will.
like a consistent. I'm not sure, bro. I'm not even sure I want to. Man, that sounds like a lot of work. That's part of the reason why I didn't do it. Like, was because it sounds like a lot of work. But yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So
what were you saying?
the other thing is that with all this high vetting and with social media, I think it is enabling women to really play into their role as the vetting party. Like I'm saying, I think that is basically putting themselves in the oppressed role in the patriarchy, if you want to put it in feminist terms. And if in on social media, like this woman making this video, she's getting a lot of empowerment personally from making this video, really playing into that dynamic, I think.
Yeah, but even if we try and undo the dynamic there, I don't think women and men are gonna have similar sex drives. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I think that women actually even like as you're getting older into your like 30s, like your sex drive will like lower and women's gets more and more. But I think women really okay, early 20s, it's women are not quite as horny, but
Bruh,
as
early 20s, women fuck.
sure
What do you
sure
mean?
sure yes they do
That's college, bro.
they do fuck, but I'm pretty sure the data proves this, but I mean I'm just saying the data. But I
Maybe.
think if we looked it up, I'm pretty sure like as women get older, they get more and more horny. Up to
Man,
like
that could be true, but like,
yeah,
goddamn, bro. If
I think
bro, I
that's
don't know.
actually it's I'm not sure about this, but I feel like the reason for that is actually for fucky reasons. Because
Uh,
they get empowered for that. I mean, they're horny, sure.
oh yeah, well, no. I agree that a lot of the like sex and in partying that women do in their early years, I think a lot of that comes down to the like sexual liberation. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you should do this, whatever. So it's more social or whatever. I can't say it's like a biological thing, but like, um, in stuff. But that's kind of
yeah.
uh, at
Because
least I don't know.
there's something you can observe in like a I mean like when you were like a teenager and like they're around the point when like women start like getting like boobs and stuff, and you
Hmm.
notice in the women around you that like they start acting kind of a little bit sexual, and then they have like this epiphany like holy shit, like people like me when I do this, like this makes me
Hmm.
cool, this makes people like me, and that's kind of awful, you know, like
I mean,
but
yeah.
it's awful, but also it's kind of like men are probably envious of that too. Men don't get to have that feeling
Of what?
of being a sexual person and then getting getting like
Most men don't get
most
to have
men.
that feeling.
Well, yeah, but
There is a
even
group of
Giga
men.
Chad, doesn't get to like act like a ditzy slut in public. I mean, I wish I could. You know what I mean? I'm not Giga Chad, but I mean like
I mean,
you know what I mean?
bruh,
No,
bro, I don't. I know a Giga Chad IRL, and he just really
okay.
gets away with whatever the fuck he wants. Like, I do you have a best friend that's like a 9, or like a
Um,
friend? Sorry, that's like a 9, like straight up like a 9. I have like a
yeah.
model friend. Yeah, he
Yeah.
can do like whatever the fuck he wants. Have you ever looked at his Tinder?
Um, I'm usually the one with the Tinder skills in my friend group.
Oh, okay. You got a Riz Lord. Okay,
Uh,
okay.
well, well, the thing is, well, I haven't been using Tinder lately, but I had a lot of success on Tinder when I was more of a femboy, and that's another way that you can have success.
Sure,
But in that
sure.
there's also horror in that, and I reject that. I think that if you go down that road, what's happening to men in that case is now, instead of liberating women, we're just taking all the social bullshit that women have to deal with and putting that on men too.
Like what?
So like to be a femboy, you basically have to be like a woman. Like you have to like like put all this work into your appearance, and like
Well,
shaving
I think
shit.
just. Oh, sure, sure.
As a
What
man,
I
it
mean,
takes a lot more shaving than a woman. Like
oh, yeah, sure, but I mean that's if you want to fit that aesthetic, right? That's if
yeah,
you want to go for that aesthetic.
yeah. But I'm just saying. So that's like another route you can go. But like I don't think that's a great way to do it, because now we're just making the lives of men worse. I think it makes your life worse when you have to do all that shit. I think women
Well,
shouldn't have to
it
do
makes
it.
your well, sure, but I mean the it's the age of technology, man. Everyone's got to get hotter and hotter by the
Yeah.
minute, otherwise they're not making it.
Yeah, now you sound more and more black pilled. I have so much
Well,
hope.
no, I mean, well, no, I
um,
mean, I feel like what I don't feel like that's very black pill. The idea that um, we're in an age of social media where a lot of the currency is being more and more attractive. I think
yeah,
that's like an observable, like descriptively true thing. That the standards for what we need to physically appear as are increasing day by day. Because like our standard of what a normal guy looks like is like a TikTok e-boy now. It's like,
right,
oh yeah,
right,
this is what a guy should look like. This is what men should look like.
right.
This is what 14-year-old kids should look like 6'2", fucking super jacked or femboy, perfect skin
Mhm.
aesthetic, clearly spends $5,000 a year on skincare.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, but that may be true. But in my personal life, like I've made women in my personal life like find the ability to be comfortable without shaving their legs. And
oh
like
yeah, no, no.
so I'm just so there's like I feel like you're absolutely right, but only if you only look at it online. But maybe you're right, but just you
Here's the
can be
thing
the
that
change in your life.
I agree. I agree with that. The problem is that change usually occurs later in people's lives once they've developed certain experiences. What I'm talking about when I'm talking about this change isn't like a change for 45-year-old people. I'm talking about like young people who really
Hmm.
need the advice for the most. Because if you're like 30s, mid 30s, you're probably already in a relationship, or if you're not in a relationship, you probably didn't want one. If you're not in like a long-term committed relationship by like mid 30s, something's wrong with you, my opinion. Like there is
Hmm.
something you need to change. Chances are, very likely, not 100% guaranteed, but almost certainly is because you decided to, I don't know, maybe shoot for the moon. Maybe you just didn't do it like me. Like if I'm single by like 35, nobody should be fucking guessing why the hell that happened. It's because I didn't
Um,
try for so many years of my life.
do you live with your parents right now? I do.
Right now, technically, yeah, technically.
That
The reason why I say technically is because I own the house.
okay.
I don't know if that's a difference.
You can that like it's still probably like a small amount of a negative, but it probably is very mitigated by that. Depending on who you ask. But I would say mostly mitigated. But that's an issue. Like
Of
for
course.
me. And like I'm doing this streaming fucking bullshit. Like you're smart. I was doing. You're literally. I remember hearing you say you're learning to code. I think.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I was doing that, and then I quit my job to focus solely on getting the coding job, and then I got inspired to do this. And because of other shit in my life, I'm not gonna like talk about like a therapy session, but like I
Hmm.
just needed to take some time and like do something creative. And but like in doing that, I'm like now like I'm kind of sacrificing, like, because a woman can do that. A woman can do that and still be empowered in the dating market, but a man, you have to be like you
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. The struggles of this, yeah. The struggles of the burden of performance on men. Like that,
Yes.
I need to have my. A great example is my 9 out of 10 friend that I was telling you about. He is making $70,000 a year. He's the same age as me. He has his own house. He has his own car. He has his own everything. He
Mm-hmm.
is so made, and that is so attractive to young women
Mm-hmm.
that he can do all of this shit autonomously. He's independent of looks. He's a significantly greater prospect for young women to be in a relationship with than
Mm-hmm.
somebody like me, where I'm, even my position, taking care of my mother, right, trying to give her a good life, that's not nearly as attractive to a lot of young women. They'll say that is attractive,
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, oh, well, you're still living with her. That's kind of lame. That's
Hmm.
whatever, right? They'll say one thing, do another, right? But and I'm gonna have to spend like $40,000 a year to keep my mother in good graces. Do you
Yeah.
think a woman is gonna accept me like
That's
making
$40,000 less that you could spend on her.
well, that I can even spend on myself, and that's kind of the
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah.
That like I'm not gonna have a nearly as good of a place. I'm not gonna have nearly. So people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's so cute. You take care of your mom," and then they're gonna get real tired of it real fast when they realize how much money is going down. I'm literally going to give my mother over the average wage that a grown man makes on median is
Hmm.
how much I'm going to be spending on my mother. That's just going to get tired real fast. So there's the burden of performance on men is something that is truly independent. You need to have your life together. And when you
Hmm.
have your life together, there's that. But that whole system is really unfortunate as well, in combination with another social stigma, which is
I know.
men not being able to date younger women. Because here's the
Yeah. Okay.
problem.
No.
If,
Wait.
if
I was gonna say that, but wait. Really quick before you say
okay.
that, I would say that it also comes at the cost of personal growth, and so we talk so much about men being like emotionally like retarded and like socially retarded, basically. But if men have to do the Sigma grind set and stuff, like what I'm doing right now, I feel is very fulfilling, and I'm growing a lot as a person.
Yeah, so
But
we
I
can
shouldn't do that because I should focus just on
correct.
like grind, 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 grind.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's like it, so I think women will go through a similar thing when it comes to kind of the almost the opposite, where if they try and focus on their careers
Hmm.
and they don't focus on popping out as many babies as possible, all right,
Hmm.
they're losing desirability as they get closer to 30, all right, or whatever. That I think 30 is the age that people hate women at, or whatever. I think it's
Probably.
30. Yeah, and so they're losing desirability. So they probably feel the same way about that, and kind of in the opposite direction, right? Which is, if I want to focus on my career, I need to be able to do that. But you're talking about something a little bit different, and I do like what you're talking about, which is the idea that if I, as a man, want to pursue my creative interests, I want to pursue something that is risky, very risky, not
Not
the
only that,
these
but personal growth.
yeah, personal growth, right? If I want to have a period of time where I figure out what I want to do, maybe figure out if this career path is what how I want to live the rest of my life. You are every day you are harmed by that, because
Yeah.
you need to have your life together, right? At
Yeah.
my age I should have my own place, or at the very least like one or two roommates. I'm expected to have my own shit. I need to be able to drive. I need to drive a decent car.
Hmm.
I need to be able to, right, at my age, I need to be able to do these things. Otherwise, I'm not a man. And I can tell you
Hmm.
with how much money I'm going to be spending on not just, my mom's shit, but, potentially taking care of my brother and my grandmother and shit like that. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And so
Yeah.
I'm always going to be seen as not a real man. That's just what it is. I'm not a real man.
Fuck it.
And for me, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, fuck it. But I'm allowed to have that because I'm very happy. If I was somebody who was not a very happy man, it would be so crushing to try and take care of my family members, to try and look after the people I want to take responsibility for, and every step of the way be fucking looked down by other people. It's very difficult. And to
Yeah.
find, I think there are women out there who might be cool with my lifestyle of like spending that much money on people that I care about, and like bringing home, because I'm gonna bring home like less than $10,000 for like rent and everything in
Mm-hmm.
in in my for my shit. So I'm gonna be literally working at like a third of minimum wage is how much money I'm gonna have
Mm-hmm.
discretionary for myself. I don't think there's very many women that are cool with like living in fucking Section 8 housing, right? Because I want to
Right.
keep my mom alive, right? And so there's going to be, it would be, do they exist? Maybe, but they're going to be few and far between. They're
Okay.
going to
That.
want a guy who is like my 9 out of 10 friend, has his own place, has his own car, does his own shit. And there is
Well,
that
that
burden.
that gets into something that I sent you a message to talk about this. But I think you could find those women really easily. And but
Really?
I think that this is a really hard conversation and complicated. I don't know if you want to have it right now, um, but
I'm cool
it's
with having it.
okay. So so your content is absolutely an advertisement for you, and I'm sure that you attract those women. Like I'm sure that there are women that are aware of you that would want that and would be interested in you. But
Okay, so let's start there then.
yeah,
Okay, I'll stop or start there. Actually, let me go back to the younger women, older men thing
okay,
because
let's do that
I felt
first.
like I felt like I left that off on a pretty weird
Yeah,
note.
I cut you
Um,
off.
yeah. So the being a made man, the expectation that I'm a made man and that I have all my shit together, necessarily like if a woman wants me to have all my shit together, I feel like they also kind of have to be okay with me dating younger women. Because if I have to have all of my shit together, like all of my finances in order, I'm only gonna have that by like late 20s and shit like that. Right? I'm gonna have all that shit done like later. So am I just never gonna be able to date women in my 20s because
Yeah,
I need to be a made man? Right? This doesn't make any sense. But I don't really, I'm not really obsessed with the idea of dating younger women. I just don't like the culture of expecting men to be made men, but also shit on them for dating like younger women. Like if
yeah,
a dude is like 30 dating a 25-year-old chick, I mean, we're setting up, we expect men to have their finances in order. It makes sense that a woman would find this guy more attractive than somebody
mhm.
like me at 25, right?
Yeah.
It,
I
it
would
makes
take it. I
sense.
would take it further.
Um,
I would take it even further. I would say that I really I'm genuinely very envious of that experience of women because I wish that I could date an older woman who will have that kind of benefit to
oh,
me.
yeah. Oh,
Oh yeah, like
yes.
who has like a
Oh,
really great
yes.
career and
Oh,
has a place
yes.
that I can live at that'll help support me, help me get my shit together, teach me life
Yeah.
skills. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But obviously, it usually doesn't go down that smoothly, right? Like we've kind of hinted at that, a young woman dating a man who's made, who has like a bunch of stuff and things like that. Usually, it comes with a lot of
yeah,
restrictions and stuff due to these men tending to be more traditional,
hmm
um, which I wouldn't like. I don't like a lot of the traditional aspects of it. I don't like being seen as
yeah.
somebody who should be listened to in all moments. I prefer an equal partnership, whatever shit.
I
But
have a unique perspective on this particular thing. That's probably true, but from my lived experience, that's not what I've seen. So I went to art school, which is like 70% women.
yep.
And if you want to have like a man help, if you were to roll the dice, it's a bad gamble. It's not a great way to plan your life. But if you want to be the woman that gets like this, the kind of older guy, and then he'll help you like move forward in life, going to art school is probably your best bet because those progressive men that will help you like that are going to date. They really love art school girls for sure. And if you want to live the life of an artist, and because like most of the greatest artists they have had so much support, and men don't generally get that support very easily. You kind of have to make yourself and perform sort of, and like to get to a place where you're like successful as an artist, you kind of have had a lot of support usually. And so from my perspective, I saw a lot of women get that help from like progressive non-traditional men.
I see, I see. Yeah, I mean that might be true in that area, but I think it's probably fair to say most of the men who are well established dating younger women are probably going to be disproportionately more conservative traditional men.
Probably.
Yeah. So I think that there's a bit of romanticizing about that situation. I think that it's not just as simple as a woman can get a guy who's older who will provide for her in stuff like that. I think that there are. I think women are significantly more capable of getting that than men, and that's kind of what we're talking about: is being able to get it at a significantly higher rate. But
Well,
um,
it's not just so like I think that's absolutely true when you bring it to the extremes of like full support. You're enslaving yourself, becoming a domestic slave. But really, kind of what I'm describing is much. It's like a little closer to the medium, like a healthy medium, where like you're a woman, you've gone to art school, you got some art skills, you're talented, you're like you've worked on yourself as a person, having gone to art school. Like when you go to art school, you're not like focusing on like grind so much. There's a lot of like personal growth involved, I think, and which is unique. But you're like, you have these, you're attractive in these ways, and you don't go into these types of relationships with the older guy expecting a full ride. You go in, you're like, well, if I'm going to pay my half the rent, so I'm going to get a job or whatever. But he has a place to stay. You're getting a roommate that is like not like some rando shitty person. You're getting like a roommate that's now like your partner and invested in your well-being, is older, who makes more money, who can help support you in a lot of ways. I'm not saying like the full ride, but I'm saying just that extra layer of support. I think that's the ideal spot that at least
Sure.
in art school women tend to be able to get that.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that women are more capable of getting support for not doing traditionally um, high earning or whatever career driven activities than men are. I, as a man, need to go, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, job, and with very little discretion in between, very little room for creative endeavors or things like that. I need to get my life on track and have my life in order. Very, very
Yeah.
structured. I need to do that. As a
And
man.
maybe if you make enough money, like when you retire, you can have fun. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. When
yeah.
I'm 80
Yeah.
or 70 and I can't do half the shit that I might have wanted to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
Of course. But what was the earlier thing about
So I was gonna talk to you. I wanted to talk to you about. Especially, I'm sure that you can give me advice. I'm like a little older than you, but you're like way bigger of a streamer, and I'm just kind of starting into this. And I want to have this kind of conversation publicly, because I don't want to like be like a moron. Like so, like your content. You're gonna, like I was saying earlier. Your content's going to attract the type of people that you're talking about are the dream person for you. So, so there are people like who's the H3 Ethan Klein, who say stuff like if you were like famous or have like any type of fandom, then you should never have sex with anybody that's like your fan. But like,
oh
what
yeah.
about like forming relationships with, like, what if you actually want, like, what if you genuinely are interested in someone and you meet them through your content or something? Like earlier you said that you've met people through Discord or through streaming, right?
Hmm.
So what are the
Well,
lines of what
so
makes it wrong and what makes it right?
so it was to my knowledge that the person that I was dating had very little knowledge of my streaming. They just saw me on like one thing, talking about dating, and then they shot their shot and they wanted to message me,
Mm-hmm.
and then we started talking, and then we dated. It was not to my knowledge that they were in really any capacity a fan. They had just seen my stuff. But for let's the core question is about being a fan. So I think that you're absolutely able to form relationships with fans. You just have to judge like independently where the line is at like how big of a fan they are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, could we imagine if we said Leonardo DiCaprio cannot date a fan? He would just never date. Like, that guy's liked, some movie or whatever is liked by just about everybody that of Leonardo DiCaprio's. Like, he would just never be able to date or have sex ever. Same with like other large actors or singers. Like Drake would never be able to date or have sex,
Mm-hmm.
which is just it's unreasonable. What we should do is we should go, okay, what level of attachment is this person at? Like, are they fucking like Blueface is a good example of one where I'm like, I'm not sure about that relationship because they're getting fucking tattoos of each other like on their
Oh,
necks and shit.
yeah.
That's weird. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go that.
Like that's the super fan. The archetype of the super fan is a person
Yeah.
that to you as like the person they're a fan of, they have no personality to you aside from their admiration and
Hmm.
obsession over you. So like if you're so your conversation with them would be all about you and they would have nothing to say about themselves. I think it would
Yeah.
have to be the case where you're genuinely interested in them and you want to learn about them as a person and they actually are a person to you. You know what I mean? But that also like, but then how do you like? But optically, it looks exactly the same.
Oh yeah, optically there's no winning. You're fucked.
Yeah.
But it's in no one will believe you. And because optically there is no winning, it's ripe for malice and like misuse because you can't tell if this person is a super fan prior to meeting me. If they are a super fan and I just want to get laid or something or like
Hmm.
string them along, I can. And I can just say, I didn't think they were a super fan, right? I can have that air of doubt. So, pragmatically, if we want to say it shouldn't be done because we don't trust people enough, we can do that. But ethically, is there a way to do it in a way that's ethical? Absolutely. It's just like ass meets grass. People are going to abuse that shit.
The other thing that I think that's really important that we haven't said so far too that's important to mention is I think it's unethical to set the standard that you would date your fans to your fans because you don't want to have it
Yeah.
be the case that they're like, oh well, if I'm if I act the right
Yeah.
way, then I'll be able to like date this person, like that.
Mhm.
That's weird too.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
agree.
yeah, but I still think it stands. Like, so say that you are so you stream a lot. That's basically your life. A lot of your life is online. That's where you're gonna meet people. And it gives you a really high likelihood of meeting very uniquely compatible people. There was some like meme around about you like saying that you like, oh, I just want to play Tarkov or something like that, and like
Yeah.
women don't want to do that, but there's probably women that do want to do that and find you because you said that. You know what I mean? So
If there was, none of them like
I mean, the
I.
chances are increased because of that. Okay,
Oh, sure.
maybe there aren't, but um,
Well, either way, that's not my point. My point isn't that it's not about me, right? Specifically,
mhm,
if it was about me, I literally wouldn't talk about this shit because I don't care. I don't care about getting laid. I don't care about
mm,
being in a relationship that much. I'm a very happy man. I'm very content with the way that my life is going. Right? I'm content with hanging out with my brother, my good friends. You know, treating my mother with respect and my grandmother with respect and looking after them. I'm very fine with the way my life is. I'm a very happy guy. The reason why I care about any of this shit is because if I was lonely, if I didn't have a good relationship with people, like I think so many men don't have that relationship and are lonely, um, then I'd be a mess. I'd be an absolute fucking mess. I also think I probably would have cared more about my appearance and doing a lot of stuff earlier. I think that I think that it would be a bigger imperative for a lot of people. But I think you can be. Imagine me without streaming, right? And lonely. I'm just fucked. I'm not going to be able to. So you're right. Maybe there are women who find me because I said that. But if I didn't stream, there wouldn't be. I wouldn't
mhm,
be able to do it. Right? One of the things that I would want to share with a partner the most, my like for in my fondness of video games and the specific video games I like and the genres of video games I like, I will never have with another human. Probably. Almost certainly. Especially if I don't stream. That's just not going to happen.
mhm,
Where does a guy who doesn't stream find a chick who plays Tarkov? It's just like good luck, fucking good luck, right, man?
right.
Like solid, good. Hats off to you, right? So I'm saying for those men who do exist, who really love these experiences and want to share this interest with another person, you're gonna have to settle at the jump. You're gonna have to settle, and I think there's a lot of people who don't have to because their experience that they love doing is camping, hiking, traveling, um, doing whatever very normal stuff. And your chance of meeting a young woman who likes that stuff is literally 100%. I'm fully
Okay.
convinced on that. That's a thing. I'm fully convinced. Every single woman in her 20s likes hiking, traveling, camping, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if they don't like doing it on their own, they want to do it with you on a date. Like
Um,
they expect you to want to do it with them.
so this
I'm
is this
black belt
is
on that.
this is the difference in our perspectives that I think that you're a little bit more doomer than me. I think the way you can be the change that I was saying earlier is also the way that you can meet the people that are uniquely like compatible with you, and that also aligns with what I'm saying about being a streamer, but not like exactly the same, but generally just the thing that unites all these three things I just said, being a socialite. So if you want to meet those women that love Tarkov, you're gonna have to be a socialite. You're gonna have to be a very social person, whether that be streaming or not. You're gonna have to meet a lot of people. Streaming is probably one of the best ways you can sort of do that, even though it kind of makes you a little antisocial. But yeah, like
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. There's ways to do it and ways. Well, I don't disagree that there's ways to enhance your chance of doing it. I think telling people, hey, you want to meet a girl that has your interests, stream, and then hope that
yeah.
one of them likes you. Like, bruh, are we serious?
That's not
In
what I'm saying.
comparison to
Stream.
the, but
I'm saying just
I know what you
socialite
mean.
in general.
Well, you have to like do it in specific spaces though, and those spaces are like fucking Discord in Twitch and YouTube. Like there's very little. What I'm saying is there's certain people. It's not even just young men. Many women as well have interests that the opposite sex really just don't care about, or might be actively stigmatized. I think there's more hobbies that men tend to have that are more stigmatized than women because men tend to have hobbies that are more self-destructive, like video game addiction, anime addiction, and shit like this. I think women are starting to get more into anime and stuff, but I think that those hobbies are more stigmatized. And of like, if I tell a woman, yeah, I play a lot of video games, it's like on site, it's done. But if a woman tells me she likes to crochet a lot, it's just like, oh, that's kind of boring. But it's like, who cares? But what I was trying to say is, there's specific groups of men and women who have these interests that make it uniquely hard for them to date in comparison to the average, which just like traveling, camping, hiking, maybe hunting, fucking surfing, skiing, football. It's super. If those are your interests, you are going to have the easiest time dating ever. That is so fucking easy because you have an interest with 90% of the population.
I think you're kind of wrong. The way I see it, having common interests is great for maintaining a long, healthy relationship. But I don't think it's necessary. In my personal opinion, it's not actually very helpful for establishing the relationship in the first place. And I think that if you just, so you just have to be the person someone wants to date. Set aside your interests and your hobbies. Being the person that like you have the personality, you're attractive to them. But like they like being around you, you are emotionally there for them, these types of things. You have skills that like align with their life or like that, you complement them in certain ways. That's what I think gets you like, first of all, the first thing is sex. But those are the things that get you past like the first few weeks. But then once you're in a relationship for like a month and it's like, or like more than a month, like 5 months or something, and it's like, okay, but like we don't have anything that we like to do with each other, and it's like we have to find something to do. Then the common interests are like, oh, now it makes it a lot easier to maintain.
I don't really think so. So let's talk about a woman that likes hiking. How do I even meet her?
How do you even meet her? Being a socialite, so you just meet lots of people.
Yeah, here's the issue. I'm not interested in anything to do with hiking. That's what I mean when I talk about common interests. It's easy. If you want to meet women and you have common interests of these various things, you just do what you want to do and you'll meet women. And you'll meet women who are actually interested in the things that you're doing because they already like hiking. They already like camping and stuff like this. If I do what I want to do, I'm never talking to a woman for the rest of my life.
That's true. But I don't think it's actually bears out that that's the way meet people at all. Maybe not at all. Maybe I'm being too firm, too confident. But I feel like the way people meet people is at work, proximity, and like, so at work, at like church, like that kind of shit, people in their neighborhood, is that type of proximity. And when I say socialite, I mean expanding your proximity. And you're absolutely right that like online and stuff that expands your proximity. I think that I think there's a differentiation to be made here that I didn't realize until just now. But I think expanding your proximity and fame is an artificial proximity. So say that you're aware of Ahrelevant through the grapevine of fame, all right? Like, because you hear memes about him. That's different from actually being in the proximity of him, right? Or like if you,
sure.
So that those are actually different things now that I'm thinking about it. That's a good distinction to think about, I think.
Well, I mean, I think fame, there is the like proximity thing, but I think a larger part of fame is pre-selection bias.
What does that mean?
Um, People like things that are in demand.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when, yeah, so when a bunch of, like, for instance, women really like a guy, other women will convince themselves to like that guy as well as men. It's
Yeah.
not just women. It's men and it's people. Like
Um,
if a bunch of people want a woman, then other guys will convince themselves that they want that woman as well.
People say the opposite too. People say that they want somebody that other people they're attracted to someone that they don't think other people will want because it feels safer. But maybe
Yeah,
that's
I
less
I
common.
think that's more of a like an insecurity thing for a lot of people.
Um, I think that the honeymoon phase of a relationship is kind of dangerous in exactly the same way that dating a fan is. I think admiration is something that should be in a relationship both ways. It's good to admire each other. But the honeymoon phase, like where you're kind of like infatuated and obsessed, is the same as being like a super fan to somebody. And
Sure,
you got to move past that. I think it's important to move past that in
I
real
agree.
life. And so it's the same. You shouldn't take advantage of someone who's in the honeymoon phase for you when you don't even know who they are. You know, that would be, I think, taking advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it
That's the
depends on the way
case.
it depends on the way you go about it. I would say if you're in the honeymoon phase with another person, though, having sex with them is quite often not unethical. Like, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if a super fan of you, I would say quite often it is not fine to have sex with them.
Well, that's because it's you don't have the honeymoon phase for them. They have it for you. So it's unbalanced.
Even if somebody else, so if somebody else has is like in the honeymoon phase about me and I'm not about them, I probably would have I would have significantly more reservations than if it went both ways, but it would be more acceptable to have sex with that person than it would be, I think, if I was a super fan. I think a super fan is a little bit more unique because
Uh,
I think it's usually in the cases of a super fan, if that's happening, they might also be thinking like, I don't know. I think a super fan is a specific type of person. I don't think you're a normal, well-adjusted person if you're a super fan getting like neck tattoos of another person. Maybe you're going through a phase or something that'll like blow over. Not to say you'll stay that way forever, but at that very moment, you are not like amongst the mean. And I think pretty much every single human goes through a honeymoon phase at some point in their life with some partner that they
yeah.
have. And I think that natural, like normal process has its ebbs and flows. So I'd just be more reserved when it comes to a super fan because they might be fucking insane or just maybe going through a phase. Who knows? You literally don't know. And so I'd be a little bit more reserved about that.
Okay, so then okay, so what are the boundaries? Okay, so I know like so this is easy for you because you don't give a shit, and you're just doing this Tinder just because you're like a mad scientist, right? Um,
Yep.
okay, well that's really cool. It's a social experiment. I like that. But for me, I almost think it's inevitable that if I make streaming a central part of my life, and being a socialite a central part of my life, like being a socialite as the skill that makes me get ahead in life, I think it's inevitable that I meet people via being a socialite, via being like recognized in public places and attracting people that are uniquely interested in the things I'm interested in, have compatibility. I think it's inevitable that I end up dating people like that. So I need to just I want to that's why I want to have these conversations publicly, and I want like pushback, because I want to know what kind of boundaries should exist, and how, because I think it's inevitable. Like, I don't. I think that if say so say I am like I become your level, or like Shud Logic level. I have streams with like
Mm-hmm.
200 people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. Like Chud Logic, he takes care of his kids and then he does streaming. Like he doesn't probably have a lot of time for much else.
Yep.
And so say he didn't have like any relationship going on or something. I don't know what he's. I'm not going to really speculate because I'm not really interested in knowing. But yeah, like so how. you're if he were to date, if you were to date, if anybody in that situation were to date and exclude anything from their socialite lifestyle, and only limit themselves to Tinder and fucking bars,
Yep.
you're not gonna meet, like, you're just not gonna meet anybody nearly as compatible with you as you could otherwise.
Of course. This is why if Tread Logic wanted to date another streamer, but I mean,
Another
who cares?
streamer.
I mean, if he wants to date somebody who's like a fan as well, as long as, I mean, he has to recognize that if that person says that they felt like they were taken advantage of by him, because like he had a position of authority over them, he needs to be ready to defend the reason why he didn't take advantage of them. And like he
Right.
vetted properly that they're a completely independent, normal person. They just casually watch Chud Logic be racist every now and again.
Yeah. So
Um,
so
you
what are those boundaries then? So like so he I think a better way to say it than vetted is he set boundaries with them, right? Because so what would those be? Like I
I
could
mean,
imagine.
I think it's kind of both. I think you need to vet and you need to have boundaries
Yeah,
because you
yeah, yeah.
need to make sure that the person isn't obsessing over you, like whatever. There is no clear,
Yeah.
well-defined thing, right? You need to figure out what you consider to be like obsessive, like the neck tattoo, the whatever shit. Are they watching your content all day? Is that all they're fucking doing? With their goddamn day. It, what? How much investment in you have they made? Like, I'll give you an example, right? My past example where the my ex was somebody that I uh, was made aware of, had watched like one or two conversations that I had had.
Hmm.
That's okay, not a big deal. Let's step it up a notch. If they watch my stream regularly, let's say every 4 days or something like that, like
Hmm.
every for one in every four streams, they watch for like a couple hours. I'd be like, yeah, okay. And if they were watching like every day, I would be like, I don't know. I'm not sure about that, because if you're watching my stream every day, like unless you're watching only for like 10 minutes, like if you just pop in and say hi, that's completely different. But if you're watching my stream like deliberately, like for an hour or two a day, I don't know. I could get some more information, see what's happening, but there's a fair chance it's a no.
I have an example. I'm not a drama guy, but I have an example of a streamer that has this dynamic. They did not meet their partner as a fan, but they have this dynamic with their partner, with that their partner watches all their streams for sure. Mr.
Oh,
Girl,
oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Mr.
my ex used to watch all of my streams
Oh,
after we got into a relationship, though.
okay. Well then, okay then. Okay. So then, I guess it's not that crazy for me to say, because I think that actually sounds it to have someone do that for you. Because I'm sure then your ex would probably give you like feedback on stuff, and
Yep.
that would be awesome. That would be fucking.
Yeah, it was
That would
cool.
be fucking cool. Like,
Yeah, it was. It was pretty cool. She would literally like read, because I'm terrible about social media. She would read the social media shit. She got stressed out about, like, really stressed out about it. I didn't care at all. She would like, look at what these people are saying about you. They're saying you're dumb, and I'm like, okay.
yeah,
And I wouldn't really care that much. She cared a lot. She would like look up on like Reddit what people were saying, like YouTube comments, what people were saying, and stuff. Yeah, she cared a lot, which was cool. It was
yeah.
cool to be
That
able
would be so helpful to
to
you,
have her.
right? Like you don't even have to care now. She's like helping you. She's doing that. That'd be like that. Wow, that would be like a really. Nobody could ever expect such a gift.
That was it was pretty neat. But yeah, after the relationship starts, that makes sense. Like
Okay.
somebody's doing something like that, and they're always like talking about something or debating something, and they watch it. Yeah, I think she got tired of watching it eventually or something,
Hmm.
but like for the most part, it stayed that way for quite a bit of time.
So you're saying the thing that makes it bad is
Before.
before.
Yeah, because it could be indicative of possibly obsessive behavior. Yeah, if she does it after, like, I mean, I feel like that's kind of normal, right? Like if you got in a relationship with a girl and she was streaming all the time talking about like politics or social issues, wouldn't you kind of want to watch? I'd watch.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't watch streams, and I'd watch.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'd
so
watch
yeah,
it and I'd look at the comments and be like, what these fucking people are
yeah,
saying about you.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's some pretty normal behavior. What's not normal though, I feel like, is watching every one of my degenerate streams. I think if you watch every one of my degenerate streams, like the people inside of my chat room, I think there's kind of got to be something wrong with you. But nah, it's just it's like it's ripe for potential abuse of power. Maybe it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like I can autonomously. I don't know. It doesn't. It throws up red flags about how autonomously they are coming to me with whether or not they want to be in a relationship with me.
Yeah. I I'm not satisfied. Uh
What do you
but
mean?
so like I'm just trying to imagine like for me like in my mind vetting and boundaries can be the same thing. Um like you can set boundaries that vet people, that
Of course.
exclude people. Um but are you saying that it's going to be different for every person?
What? The
The,
boundaries?
yeah, every person that interacts with you, or I don't know.
I mean, every person who interacts with you will be different, but the boundaries should be pretty consistent. There's no like hard line in the sand. It's going to have to be very flexible because it's, people, you have to read the person is what you have to do. You have to get a sense of why they're talking to you.
Okay, I figured it out. I think I figured it out. Okay, the people that Jesus Christ, I don't know. It's like when someone discovers your content, you can. I don't know. I don't know. This is so new and unique of a thing, and like the whole YouTuber streamer thing, um, and
Yeah, but I mean,
it's
famous people having relationships with
right,
fans is something that's, you know, literally tens of thousands of years old at least. But
right.
I would just argue it's as old as people. I mean, there's always been like socially approved and like propped up people.
Someone was giving me some feedback from an Evo Psych perspective about how we used to live and why you want to date people from a similar mindset of like a fan sort of in that perspective, and uh, that just confused me even more. um,
I
I
hate Evo Psych, so
Yeah, I do too. I had a gay man.
uh-huh.
I'm kind of reading into what he was saying as like a joke, but he was basically kind of believe he was trying to tell me that women will never be as interested in men as men are in women. So like and like that's like the conceit of that is we'll just go gay, because if you really want someone to be interested in you, um,
I remember Vosh gave a similar take. He said, "No person or no group of people on Earth love men more than gay men." And
yeah,
it's very funny that he said that. I
I
think
don't
it's
believe
probably
that.
I feel like it's probably true.
I don't believe it. I refuse.
I think it's probably true.
I
What
refuse because if it was true, I'd have to go gay because I want someone to fucking want me. I um
you gotta go gay, bro. I don't know what to say. Them's the rules. Them's the rules.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm sure
I
that
don't
you
know,
have.
man. Good.
I'm sure you have other people to talk to or other things because I'm just going in circles now. But I just don't. I don't know. I feel like I'm doomed to end up dating someone that I meet through streaming one way or another.
Yeah, you probably will, but you probably got to go about it in a decent way. And as long as you make it clear that you tried your best, like try really, even if you fuck up and do date somebody who a lot of people consider to be like maybe a little bit obsessive or a little bit weird or whatever, just like make it clear that you're trying and you tried to be able to vet the person to the best of your ability. And then anybody reasonable will like see you as not a shitty person. I know like there isn't a crazy amount of reasonable people, but there's enough to like keep you steady.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Nice
All
talking
right.
to you.
Much love, brother. See you.